At a time when there's a dearth of original material, when audiences are seemingly begging to see something different, one would think that a completely new film from Disney and Pixar would be a runaway smash hit. There's only one problem, and it's a significant one. That film has to be good, which sadly Disney Pixar's new animated feature film Elio is not. It's a decent premise, however the film is full of standard movie cliches, uninteresting characters, and rips off every pop culture and sci-fi property from Close Encounters of the Third Kind to The Karate Kid to Futurama, and it wraps it in an unengaging story that, while is not contemptibly bad, is still nowhere near good. The basic premise of the story is that the title character of Elio, whose parents are no longer around, and lives with his aunt, who serves in the military and is conveniently involved with their SETI program, feels like an outsider and is picked on by the other kids and wants to be abducted by aliens. He gets his wish and is mistaken for the leader of Earth. The cute aliens want to make him the ambassador in what they call the Communiverse, a sort of Disney-fied United Federation of Planets. Elio befriends another alien whose militaristic and overbearing father himself wants to join the Communiverse. When he's turned down, then Elio is sent to try to assuage his anger, which ultimately doesn't work, and the plot takes off from there. Elio's biggest problem, as mentioned at the top of the video, is that it doesn't do anything particularly original. It comes across as a pastiche of different sci-fi properties in different films. There are bits and pieces plucked from everything from the last 30 to 40 years of pop culture. Elio's aunt, played by Zoe Saldana, is this film's de facto May Parker, while the main villain, played by
Brad Garrett,
is heavily, shall we say, influenced by the Futurama character of Lur from Omicron Persei 8.
People of Earth! Ooh, that hippie's starting to kick in.
And that's what the film's biggest hindrance is. Elio doesn't do anything original or even interesting. Oftentimes a film can get away with not being original if it's executed well, which Elio is not. Speaking of interesting, the look of the film is inconsistent to say the least, and that's being kind. While the alien designs are cute, which you can guess is completely intentional to make them as non-threatening as possible and for merchandising purposes, the human characters are downright ugly with a capital U. A trend in animation over the last number of years has to make characters with what's called a bean mouth, also known in many circles as the Cal Arts design. An aesthetic that is used largely as a cost-saving measure where it repurposes existing animation and effect shots. While it may work for 2D animation in some instances, here it does not. It makes the human characters look oftentimes ape-like. It's a perplexing artistic choice until you realize that the director is a graduate of Cal Arts.
I knew it.
While the voice acting is good, none of it makes any of the characters particularly stand out. It may be unfair to compare this to a classic like Toy Story, however Tim Allen and Tom Hanks' work on that film really brought the characters to life, while Elio's voice acting just seems to be plucked out of any garden variety animated feature. Elio seems to be a strange film. As a Pixar movie, it does little to place itself along classics like Toy Story or Up. It has more in common with standard Disney fare such as Strange World. While it's not utterly bad, it doesn't do enough to make you love it. The movie just kind of sits there, occupying space on the screen. You keep waiting for it to give you a kind of wow moment that never arrives. With a recent string of Pixar failures such as Soul and Lightyear, and at a time when Disney and Pixar need a hit, Elio falls well short. This now, however, brings up a question. What space does a film like this occupy? It's not nostalgia-driven for adults like the Disney live-action remakes, nor is it sophisticated enough for older kids who have moved on to other things in the Disney stable, such as Marvel and Star Wars. My best guess is this is for kids who are maybe 7 to 9 years old and their parents. Children may like it well enough, however the parents will have a difficult time staying engaged. And that is the real tragedy of something like Elio. Where previous Pixar movies were engaging enough that children could enjoy them and parents could appreciate them on a whole different level, Elio asks little of the audience other than to try not to look at your phones for 90 minutes. It's a rather bland and empty experience. Also at a time when audiences are seemingly begging for something new, it begs the question of why this particular movie was made in the first place. Unlike the film WALL-E or even something like Up or A Bug's Life, there's nothing inherently that screams Pixar about it. Elio feels rather generic, as if it could be any animated film from any studio, be it Sony Animation, DreamWorks, or even Walt Disney Animation. It doesn't do anything to stand out from the crowd, which makes this even more puzzling. It's almost as if this were a leftover project, or was spit out by some kind of AI generator after a CEO spent a late night at the office, staring at his computer screen typing in buzzwords such as animation, sci-fi, aliens, and diverse cast. Generic isn't the word I thought I ever used describing a Pixar movie. However, that's exactly what Elio feels like. It's a movie that takes zero chances and sits at the meaty part of the general audience curve. Generic, nondescript, and the worst of all, ordinary. For the record, I don't hate Elio. This movie doesn't do anything egregious enough for me to hate it. However, I don't love it, and I'm probably not in a hurry to watch it ever again. Elio from Disney Pixar gets 2 out of 5 Chewbaccas. That's it for now. See you next time.